We're here in Milano in the Racquet Trend Expo, and it used to be a Padel Expo, but right now it's something bigger. How do you feel yourself here in this meeting and in this space?
Yeah, I mean, it's my first one. I didn't manage to go to previous ones. I've been to a few other ones in Spain and in America. I think it's a great sign. I think it's really important that this industry is maturing to a point where it can host credible, large-scale events like this, B2B events, B2C events. And it's really important that people can network and learn from each other and share their scars and their stories of success, because this is such a global sport, but with so many pockets of expertise and experience. And I think I enjoy coming to these events personally because I get to see people who I know and love and have been on my podcast from America, from the Middle East, from Europe, from Asia. So I think it's great. And I only got here today, but I'm looking forward to walking around and experiencing it fully.
You're going to play some Padel matches too?
I unfortunately didn't bring any of my clothes to play Padel. I would have loved to, but I've just spent a month away from home, so my wife was not so keen on supporting that aspect of the experience. I've been involved in the sports industry for almost 20 years. Most recently, I was a commissioner of an esports league, and I was also on the board of the men's tennis tour, the ATP. I discovered Padel about 2 years ago, fallen in love with it, and as soon as I fell in love with it, I wanted to understand the business of it. Couldn't really find anywhere, at least in the English-speaking language, that explored that in detail, so I launched my own podcast called All the Angles, and on that I tried to cover kind of the business, the governance, the commercials of Padel worldwide. I'm also an investor in a few projects, so that's kind of where I kind of step into the Padel world.
What's the situation right now in the UK? Because Padel is like growing, right?
Yeah, no, it's going massively. As with most countries since the COVID crisis, Padel has just gone absolutely bananas in the UK. We've more than doubled the courts since the pandemic. We're now, I think, at around 700 courts across the country, with big hubs in Bristol and, of course, in London, as you'd expect. Now more in Manchester, up in the north, in Scotland as well. So it's really tremendously growing. The participation numbers are growing. The spread of the type of people who are playing it is growing as well. So it's going tremendously well, and I'm really excited that more and more people are getting to taste it and get addicted.
Do you think it's going to be bigger than tennis?
In the UK? I mean, the UK has got a very, very long history and pedigree in tennis. You know, we're the hosts of Wimbledon. I don't think we'll overtake the tennis, and I don't think it's really our intention to overtake tennis. But I think, I'd love to see real top tier Padel come to the UK. We don't have any. I think we've got FIP events, but no premium Padel events. So I'd love to see that come. But I think it's a long way to go till we scare the tennis fraternity.
We wanted to talk about the industry and the connection between Padel and IT solutions, so like technology and Padel. So you also mentioned a few things here in this discussion. Can you explain it a bit more, please?
I think from my experience, I think Padel has really embraced the opportunities and the support that technology can bring to the sport on a participation level. You've got apps like Playtomic, Matchai, who are really good at matchmaking and creating a ranking system and making things fairly easy. My club actually doesn't use either system. But
you have your own system?
Yeah, so Stratford Padel Club has its own app with its own ranking system, which is set by the coaches in-house. But if I want to play anywhere in Europe, the user experience that comes from Playtomic and going to Lisbon or going to Spain and just picking up Playtomic and finding people to play with is incredibly powerful. I remember to my days when I played tennis in my teenage years, there was no way you could do that without meeting or bumping into someone in real life. So I think the matchmaking services are incredible. I think now we're seeing what's the next phase of that. So I've seen a lot of gamification where you're seeing, similar to Duolingo or a lot of these kind of things, where they try and give you rewards and they're trying to incentivize you to use the app more and to kind of build your level, to build your rating on the app. And you're seeing kind of partnerships with how can we incentivize you and reward you for being users of our platform. I think that's going to be the next level. But also on court, technology is pivotal and can become even more pivotal, whether it's streaming that allows you to cut highlights or uses AI to give you a highlights package to share with your social media, data and analytics on top of that. So you can actually have almost like an AI coach look at your game and go, here's what you need to work on, here's an area of improvement. And then you've got scoring, live scoring systems. So I think there's new frontiers. If it becomes scalable and cost effective, it could really make the experience richer from a technological point of view. Then from the professional point of view, you see the way that data and technology is overlaid on the feed. I saw the Hexagon Cup are really good at that with the data and the hotspots and the, looking at the ratios of X3s. And so I think that makes for a much richer experience for the fans. So I think there's so many avenues that I haven't even touched on in this long monologue, but I think it's a great opportunity to really deepen engagement, especially with young people who expect technology to be part and parcel of their experience.
One of the most important part of the padel, if you want to go and want to find a perfect partner in a perfect place in perfect time, right? So it's not that easy.
Yep.
Because you said you have your own system. So what's your methodology? Is there someone in the club who is like taking care of the matchmaking, who can organize matches, or the players are already like that well educated that they already know how to do this stuff, how to organize themselves, how to manage themselves?
No, we have the app that allows you to book courts. The bit that is kind of off the grid, so to speak, is the rating system. So my understanding is that one of the concerns with Playtomic is that every match counts to your rating and you may not necessarily want it to. And sometimes if you don't play enough on there, then your rating doesn't reflect how good you are. So this system has its own rating system based on, I think you need 2 or 3 coaches in the club to align. They watch your footage and they decide how good you are based on their sense of your ranking. So you've got a bit more of an organic and nuanced idea of how good you are.
And you have the human touch, actually. I mean, the human eye, the professional human eye.
And there are some players who, when you watch them, you're like, oh, that's ugly. Like, that's terrible technique. But they win. And that's important, right? It doesn't matter how you win. Winning ugly, I think that's the name of a book by Brad Gilbert. So it's a credible way. So I think it really works well as a system for us. In my experience, the fans, you still get people who are like, oh, I want to be moved up. I'm not being moved up. With any system, there are going to be people who don't like something about it, especially if they don't feel it does justice to their idea of how good they are. But yeah, again, we've got the app that kind of creates courts at different rankings, and you just jump in with people at the same ranking. I like it because I don't think I ever play with the same people twice. And I love that. I love playing with new people. It's a challenge. It's an opportunity to meet new people. It's completely different from the way I used to play tennis back in the 90s and in the 2000s. And we also have a WhatsApp that allows us to kind of, if we want to substitute in and out of matches. So it somehow works. And I love it. And I think it benefits from the fact that it has a big community, but it also creates a big community. People enjoy the system. And we've got, I think, 40,000 players in our club.
Wow.
So
that's massive. That's really massive.
Yeah, 9-court club in East London, and it's a big community. And people come from far and wide. People come from Wembley, which is northwest London. That's like an hour and a half's commute. So it's doing something right.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you very much for the conversation. Also, just one more question, because we asked this for another video. Just have to answer very quickly. So, is it pickleball or padel?
Oh, I'm Padel all the way. I've tried pickleball. I was in Miami last year, and I experienced it. I think I love that pickleball exists. I think it's a great sport for people who have struggled to keep up with other sports. I saw it in Miami. It was a big family thing. Small kids, grandparents, all playing together. I think it has tremendous value. I tried to watch it as a professional sport. I couldn't quite get it. I couldn't quite get into it. Just not for me. And padel's the one that's kind of dragged me back into racket sports. I kind of fell out of love with racket sports. It was my brother who's a retired professional tennis player who told me to try it. I was a little bit reluctant. I thought I was going to go into mixed martial arts, to be honest. But I played padel. He said, try it for a month. If you don't like it, you can go and get your shoulder dislocated in MMA. And I tried it for a month and I never went back, and I've been playing ever since. So I'm padel all the way. I'm an addict.
Thank you. How much do you play in a month?
I play about 2 or 3 times a week. I'd love to play more, but my body just is not able to do it anymore. I can play for that hour and a half, but it takes me 2 days to recover. I may look young, but my body is telling me that I'm not.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching this video. Here you can subscribe to our channel. And here are our 2 latest videos, one up here and another one here. Don't forget to like this video as well, share it with your friends, and follow us every time, everywhere.